Tuesday, May 24th, 2021, and we are live. Welcome to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. All right. Well, I had a show already planned for today, but then the shooting in Uvalde, Texas took place. So we're going to start with that story, and then we're going to get to couple of other stories that I had already planned to talk about on today's show. All right, so we have the death toll has increased in the school shooting at the elementary school in Texas. The death toll is now updated to 19 children. This is at an elementary school, 19 children, and you have 2 teachers who were killed. So it's a tragic mass shooting on the heels of the Buffalo, New York supermarket shooting as well. So we're going to give you an update on what's taking place there. Then also, the news came out today that President Joe Biden is going to sign an executive order on police reform. And this is going to take place on Wednesday, May 25th, which is the 2-year anniversary of the killing of George Floyd. All right. So a lot of people have been waiting for this. I told you that this was coming. I told you an executive order on policing was coming. We know that the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act stalled in the Senate. It was blocked by Senator Tim Scott and Republicans in negotiations with Senator Cory Booker and Representative Karen Bass. Okay, so we know the talks broke down, and in January, we heard that President Joe Biden was going to do an executive order, but a 18-page draft of the executive order leaked, and it caused some police organizations to disagree with the executive order. Okay, but we see that the executive order is going to be signed on Wednesday, May 25th. Okay, so we'll give you an update on that as well. And then there was a story that I posted about on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network today. It's a story dealing with Walmart and this Juneteenth ice cream. Okay. And I saw a couple of things on social media that Walmart was going to sell this Juneteenth ice cream, and it got so much backlash on social media that Walmart has pulled the ice cream, and they have apologized. Okay, and you know, last year when President Biden made Juneteenth a federal holiday, I talked about how that could be a good thing, but we have to correct the history and protect the history. We have to correct the history and protect the history. And I said that not allow Juneteenth to become commercialized by white corporations, especially. We cannot allow it to become commercialized by white corporations. So there was so much outrage on social media over this that Walmart pulled the ice cream. All right, so we'll talk about that also. All right, now on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct your own behavior, what you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with. It's based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. All right, be sure to register for the online history classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. I teach that on Saturdays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, I want to jump into this first story, and I want to go to this clip here before we go to our first break. So if we look at also President Joe Biden gave a speech today. He gave an address from the White House after returning back to the White House from Asia. So if we look at this story here briefly, the latest information we have, this is coming from NBC News. 19 children, 2 teachers killed in Texas elementary school shooting. An 18-year-old suspect was fatally wounded by law enforcement officers, Texas Governor Greg Abbott said. Okay. Now, this took place in Uvalde, Texas. At least 19 children and 2 teachers were killed Tuesday when a gunman opened fire in a Texas elementary school, according to Texas Department of Public Safety. The suspected shooter, who might have had a handgun and a rifle, was also killed when law enforcement confronted him at Robb Elementary School, ROBB, Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, about 83 miles west of San Antonio, Texas, Governor Greg Abbott said at a news conference. We're going to go to clip number 1 here in just a second, Shakita, from NBC Nightly News. All right, now, it is believed Governor Greg Abbott, who's up for re-election right now, he said it is believed that he abandoned his vehicle, then entered the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle, Governor Greg Abbott said at a news briefing. He said he shot and killed horrifically and incomprehensibly. At the time, the reporting was 14 students and killed a teacher. That at a news conference shortly after the shooting, before additional deaths were confirmed. Now, the Texas Department of Public Safety said later that 19 children and 2 teachers have been killed in addition to the suspected shooter. So the suspected shooter, his last name is Ramos, he was killed also. Multiple survivors, the exact number was unknown, were being treated at regional hospitals. It was yet another mass shooting targeting children and educators at an American school campus. Okay, so I want to go to clip number 1 here. This is some updated information from NBC Nightly News. Let's go to clip, please.
Shot and killed horrifically, incomprehensibly. Those are the words of Texas Greg Abbott tonight after one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history. 18 children and 3 adults gunned down today at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, west of San Antonio. According to a state senator briefed by Texas Rangers, the gunman, 18 years old and described as a resident of the community, entered the school with a handgun and possibly a rifle. It appears he was killed by officers who responded to the shootings. President Biden addressed the nation a short time ago. More on his message in a moment. This comes just 10 days after the mass shooting at a supermarket in Buffalo, in which 10 people were killed. One more horrific and stunning act of gun violence in a nation so weary from it. We begin tonight with Morgan Chesky in Texas.
Lester, every update that has come in today on this story has only brought more heartbreak to this tight-knit community of only about 15,000 people. Tonight, a massive law enforcement presence has descended on this small town, and it is converging on Robb Elementary School behind me, now covered up in crime scene tape as investigators scour this area for evidence and try to find what caused this 18-year-old gunman to go inside and open fire. Tonight, at least 21 lives have been tragically cut short, according to Texas State Senator Roland Gutierrez, who says he was briefed by Texas Rangers. And yet another school in America has become the scene of a mass shooting.
There are families who are in mourning right now, and the state of Texas is in mourning with them for the reality that these parents are not going to be able to pick up their children.
This time it happened in South Texas at Robb Elementary School for 2nd through 4th graders in Uvalde, 80 miles west of San Antonio. At least 13 people were injured, according to a hospital official. 2 medevac to San Antonio, a woman in her 60s and a 10-year-old girl. Both are in critical condition.
We'll notify the parents and the families as soon as we have some news for them.
2 police officers were struck by rounds but are expected to survive. It all started at 11:32 this morning, where the shooter abandoned his vehicle, then entered the school with a handgun and possibly a rifle, according to the governor.
It is being reported that the subject shot his grandmother right before he went into the school.
Tonight, police say the gunman is dead. The governor naming him as 18-year-old Salvador Ramos from Uvalde. No word yet on his motive.
Let me assure you, the intruder is deceased, and we are not actively looking for another individual or any other suspects in this case.
Bobby Studer was at the school dropping off flowers for his wife, who was retiring Friday, when he heard gunshots.
Her class and then.
All right, we're coming up on a break. Pause it right there. Just back it up seconds. We'll continue this on the other side of the break. That was some NBC Nightly News. Today, you listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Mental health and well-being have long been a taboo subject in the so-called African-American community. So I enlisted the help of mental health experts, thought leaders, and activists to help kill the ghost of Willie Lynch and heal from post-traumatic slave syndrome.
We experience trauma a lot of times on a subconscious level. So sometimes something happens to us and we know that it's traumatizing, but we don't really recognize the extent of the trauma.
The work that I do is larger than the fashion industry. It's larger than the art world. And I believe that I was born to bring newness into this world. I'm Kaima McIntyre. I'm 24 years old and I'm an artist. I create everything from paintings to jewelry design, metaphysical jewelry to be specific, and fashion design. The only reason why my prom dress went viral is because people needed it. Within a few days of going viral, Notori Naughton reached out to me and she's like, I saw your dress, can you make me a dress? I was equally as shocked to be asked by a celebrity to design their dress at the age of 17. That's just one person, and the list just continues to go on to Janet Jackson, to Tyra Banks. It really hits home. That means that the discussion is happening on the grounds in real time.
It's a network show. We do current events in history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Unfortunately, many people confuse what racism means. Racism is a power structure. It was laws and policies that put us in this predicament. It's going to be laws and policies that take us out. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the compass of his or her actions, because the mind can't do what people doesn't know.
We have it all on 910 AM Superstation.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Tuesday, May 24th, 2022, and we are live. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Okay, so right before the break, we're giving you an update on the school shooting, elementary school shooting at the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. Latest update, 19 children killed, 2 teachers killed, as well as the gunman, 18-year-old gunman, whose last name is Ramos. We're going back to the clip here in just a second, Shakita. The suspected shooter was identified as Salvador Rolando Ramos, 18 years old, multiple senior law enforcement sources said. Quote, the investigation is leading to tell us the suspect did act alone during this heinous crime. Arredondo, the chief of police for the Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District, said at a news conference. FBI agents and U.S. Customs and Border Protection personnel were assisting local law enforcement with the investigation into the suspect's motive, into the suspect's motives and background, authorities said. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, and responded to assist also. Okay, I want to go back to this clip here. This is from NBC Nightly News today, May 24th. And they reported 18 children killed. This information from NBC News that I'm showing you is updated after NBC Nightly News aired today. Let's go back to this clip, please.
Got in the cafeteria and just kind of turned off the lights, got on the stage, started papering the windows. She said the kids were real good.
The last day of school here was supposed to be just days away. Instead, tonight, bloodstains the sidewalk outside. And parents are gathering at this local civic center to be reunited with their children, left terrified.
My heart was broken today for a small community, and we'll need your prayers to get us through this.
Morgan, take us inside the scene on the ground right now. What's it like?
Lester, on one hand, it is a very active investigation here at the scene outside Robb Elementary, but about a quarter mile from where I'm standing, there's a civic center that's become a reunification site, and that has been the scene of so much incredible heartbreak today. Parents rushing there frantically, unsure if their child is still alive. And we're told at this hour there are still people potentially left waiting to hear word from authorities and not having any clarification on how the fate of their child is right now. In the meantime, authorities say they will be remaining here for the foreseeable future. Grief counselors will be made available to every student here in Uvalde who needs one, starting tomorrow.
And I understand school officials have briefed the media a few times. What are they saying?
I think, Lester, what they're saying is the fact that this is a tragedy that hits harder than anything they've ever experienced in their lifetime. The superintendent earlier today in a press conference was almost at a loss for words. It was very brief in that they only acknowledged the incredible loss that they were enduring and frankly said they couldn't say any more other than pledging to be there for their staff and students in what will be an incredibly long road of recovery ahead.
Oh, the funeral.
Was that it? Okay. Is that it? All right. So that was from NBC Nightly News today. Also, this article I'm showing you here, this is from the Texas Tribune. This came out later today, updated information. 21 are dead in a Uvalde elementary school shooting, the deadliest in Texas history. Robb Elementary teaches second, third, and fourth grade students in Uvalde, which is about 85 miles west of San Antonio, Texas. Governor Greg Abbott said the shooters believed to have been killed by responding law enforcement. The shooting started around 11:32 a.m. Today. Okay, so read this one as well. State Senator Roland Gutierrez, Democrat from San Antonio, Texas, told CNN there might be another adult dead, but authorities have not confirmed it. Okay, so check this one out. Now, President Joe Biden, returning from a trip to Asia, gave an address today. We're going to clip 2 here in just a second, Shakita. He gave a address today from the White House and talked about the shooting, called for common sense gun laws as well, and called for the gridlock to end in the Senate. Okay, let's go to clip 2, please, Shakita. Okay, we'll get that queued up. President Biden delivers remarks.
Good evening, fellow Americans. Good evening, fellow Americans. I had hoped when I became president, I would not have to do this again. Another massacre, Uvalde, Texas, an elementary school. Beautiful, innocent, second, third, fourth graders. And And how many scores of little children who witness what happened see their friends die as if they're on a battlefield, for God's sake. They'll live with it the rest of their lives. There's a lot we don't know yet. There's a lot we do know. The parents who will never see their child again, never have them jump in bed and cuddle with them. Parents who will never be the same. To lose a child is like having a piece of your soul ripped away. There's a hollowness in your chest. You feel like you're being sucked into it and never going to be able to get out. Suffocating. And it's never quite the same. It's a feeling shared by the siblings and the grandparents and the family members and the community that's left behind. Scripture says, Jill and I have talked about this in different contexts, in other contexts. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. So many crushed spirits. So tonight, I ask the nation to pray for them. Give the parents and siblings the strength in the darkness they feel right now. As a nation, we have to ask, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby? When in God's name we do what we all know in our gut needs to be done? It's been 3,448 days, 10 years since I stood up at a high school in Connecticut, a grade school in Connecticut, where another gunman massacred 26 people, including 20 first graders at Sandy Hook Elementary School. Since then, there have been over 900 incidents of gunfires reported on school grounds. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Santa Fe High School in Texas. Oxford High School in Michigan. The list goes on, and the list grows when it includes mass shootings at places like movie theaters, houses of worship, as we saw just 10 days ago at a grocery store in Buffalo, New York. I am sick and tired of it. We have to act. And don't tell me we can't have an impact on this carnage. I spent my career as a senator and a vice president working to pass common sense gun laws. We can and won't prevent every tragedy, but we know they work and have positive impact. When we passed the assault weapons ban, mass shootings went down. When the law expired, mass shootings tripled. The idea that an 18-year-old kid can walk into a gun store and buy 2 assault weapons is just wrong. What in God's name do you need an assault weapon for except to kill someone? Deer aren't running through the forest with Kevlar vests on, for God's sake. It's just sick. And the gun manufacturers have spent 2 decades aggressively marketing assault weapons, which make them the most and largest profit. For God's sake, we have to have the courage to stand up to the industry. Here's what else I know. Most Americans support common sense laws, common sense gun laws. I just got off a trip from Asia, meeting with Asian leaders. And I learned of this while I was on the aircraft. And what struck me on that 17-hour flight, what struck me was these kinds of mass shootings rarely happen anywhere else in the world. Why? They have mental health problems. They have domestic disputes in other countries. They have people who are lost. But these kinds of mass shootings never happen with the kind of frequency they happen in America. Why? Why are we willing to live with this carnage? Why do we keep letting this happen? Where in God's name is our backbone to have the courage to deal with it and stand up to the lobbies? It's time to turn this pain into action for every parent, for every citizen in this country. We have to make it clear to every elected official in this country. It's time to act.
We'll pick it up from right there on the other side of the break. Okay, you listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. Also, when we come back, we'll talk about Walmart pulling their Juneteenth ice cream because of protests on social media. I talked last year about we have to correct the history of Juneteenth and protect the history of Juneteenth and go after corporations that try to capitalize on Juneteenth and pimp Juneteenth. Okay, this is a good example of that. You listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
What does self-care mean to you? To us, it's an opportunity to reconnect with nature. A chance to create something remarkable. At Sage and Elm Apothecary, our handcrafted skincare and household products immerse you in Earth's sweetest nectar, connecting you to nature in a way you never imagined. See for yourself and visit us at sageandelmapothecary.com.
iRedify is a Black-owned digital platform that showcases Black and Brown cultures and people. The books on the platform are written by African-American authors, Afro-Caribbean authors, African authors, and so much more. Kids 14 and under can read ebooks, listen to audiobooks, and complete learning activities. Kids can even write in the books digitally. Get unlimited access to everything on the platform for only $8.99 a month at iRedify.com. Sign up for your membership today.
910, the Superstation, Detroit's only African-American talk radio.
All right, welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. Hey, I want to remind you, you can still register for the online history classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. On Saturdays, it is ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Kemet is one of the original names for Egypt. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips. Even after the class is over with, you can go back and watch the entire course. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime, even a year from now or 2 years from now. You still have access to the full class. Next class is Saturday, May 28th. As soon as you register, you can watch the class we did this past weekend. All right, I want to go back to the clip I was showing you that took place today. This is President Joe Biden talking about the Uvalde elementary school shooting. Let's go back to this clip, please, Shakita.
It's time for those who obstruct or delay or block the common sense gun laws. We need to let you know that we will not forget. We can do so much more. We have to do more. Our prayer tonight is for those parents lying in bed and trying to figure out, will I be able to sleep again? What do I say to my other children? What happens tomorrow? May God bless the loss of innocent life on this sad day. And may the Lord be near the brokenhearted and save those crushed in spirit, because they're going to need a lot of help and a lot of our prayers. God love you.
You can pause it right there. He didn't take any questions. You can pause it right there. Okay, so we'll give you an update tomorrow. Any new developments? Check out the reporting from the Washington Post, and I've been looking at the Washington Post, New York Times, NBC News, MSNBC. It's another tragedy. Common sense gun laws have to pass the Senate. They've passed the House of Representatives. They have to pass the Senate. So we have to call our members of the U.S. Senate, especially the Republican ones, and push this through. We may have to go after some of the corporations that help finance these Republicans, put them in office, and launch economic boycotts against them as well. And check out this article here from with the Washington Post. Check out this article here from the Washington Post. Biden urges end to carnage of gun violence after 19 children killed at Texas school. Okay, I want to go to this next story very quickly. Then I want to get to the Walmart story. So, we've been talking about the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act here on the show. We talked about. I told you that an executive order was coming soon, as well. Some people thought it would come on the anniversary of George Floyd's death. We got the news today, definitively, that on Wednesday, May 24th, President Joe Biden is going to sign an executive order dealing with police reform, what he can do based upon executive order. Now, the majority of control over policing is at the state and local level based upon the 10th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. All right. But there are some things that can be done through executive order. So White House to issue policy on issue policing order on the anniversary of George Floyd's death. Long-awaited action will create national accreditation standards, database for problem officers, incentives to ban chokeholds. So the Washington Post, as well as New York Times, has reporting on this, and also thegrio.com. And if we look at it, I was pulling up this article here. Okay, yeah, from the Grio also. April Ryan has an article from thegrio.com about this. And if we can close out the ads here from the Grio. All right, we'll take a look at this also. So it's a good article from April Ryan and thegrio.com. Let's flip over to this here. Biden to sign executive order on police reform on George Floyd anniversary. If we look at this here quickly, President Joe Biden will mark the anniversary of George Floyd's death by signing an executive order on Wednesday to establish new rules and regulations for federal law enforcement officers, the Grio.com has learned. We know that April Ryan is the White House correspondent for the Grio.com. Now, the presidential action is an attempt to fulfill a campaign promise to reform policing on the national level, create accountability, and protect civil rights. Now, 2 years later, a source familiar with the anticipated executive order told the Grio that President Biden's unilateral move is an effort to be quote unquote effort to be responsive after Congress failed to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, which was a comprehensive police reform bill to prevent and remedy racial profiling and excessive use of force. Okay, it was a comprehensive police reform bill intended to prevent and remedy racial profiling and excessive use of force. Now, some high-profile families who have been impacted by deadly police violence will be on hand for the presidential signing ceremony. The one order expected to be signed will extend measures on police use of force after civil rights leaders submitted guidance requesting at least 20 executive actions. After civil rights leaders, because they've been meeting with President Biden, after civil rights leaders submitted guidance requesting at least 20 executive actions. The New York Times reported that the executive order will specifically use federal grants to encourage state and local agencies to tighten restrictions on chokeholds and no-knock warrants. It will also reportedly create a national registry of police officers who are fired for police misconduct. And this helps identify those officers to keep them from going to other jurisdictions, other police departments, and get hired there and committing the same types of offenses. Sources describe the order as a progressive and one that mirrors. Sources describe the order as progressive and one that mirrors the state of California's use of force statute, which more narrowly defines a justifiable homicide. Any executive order signed by President Joe Biden could ultimately be reversed by another administration when he is no longer in office. However, the White House is hoping to do its part in lieu of legislative action from Congress. Attempts to pass a bipartisan George Floyd bill fell apart when Democrats and Republicans failed to reconcile their differences on provisions on legislation. Basically, Senator Tim Scott lied and said the sticking point was defund the police. When talks broke down in September of 2021, he said the sticking point was defund the police, which was a lie. And then the Fraternal Order of Police and the International Organization of Police Chiefs, they put out a joint statement, and they said that they agreed with the George Floyd bill, okay, and that the bill did not defund the police. Senator Tim Scott lied. That's what happened. All right. So that's what we're dealing with. Now, I think they need to bring the bill up again in the Senate. I think they need to bring the bill up again in the Senate and call the bill the Law and Order Justice and Policing Act. Okay, the Law and Order Justice and Policing Act. Bring in the Fraternal Order of Police and the International Organization of Police Chiefs into the Senate. Talk about how good the bill is, because a lot of Republican senators whose votes you need 10 Republicans to vote for the bill. A lot of them were endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police and the International Association of Police Chiefs. Bring it. Each year, more white people are killed by police than African Americans. If you go to WashingtonPost.com and look at Fatal Force, you look at their database, Fatal Force, which deals with police killings. Each year, more white people are killed by police than African Americans. We're killed disproportionately. Bring in white mothers, bring in white family members to talk about their loved ones who were unjustly killed by police. Okay, the strategy that's being used to see going to the Senate, and you only got 2.5 black people in the Senate. Going to the Senate talking about black this and black that is a good way to make sure the bill fails. The structure of the Senate, the racial makeup of the Senate is much different than the House of Representatives. We'll continue this on the other side of the break. Listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
The work that I do is larger than the fashion industry. It's larger than the art world. And I believe that I was born to bring newness into this world. I'm Kaima McIntyre. I'm 24 years old and I'm an artist. I create everything from paintings to jewelry design, metaphysical jewelry to be specific, and fashion design. The only reason why my prom dress went viral is because people needed it. Within a few days of going viral, Notori Naughton reached out to me and she's like, I saw your dress, can you make me a dress? I was equally as shocked to be asked by a celebrity to design their dress at the age of 17. That's just one person, and the list just continues to go on, to Janet Jackson, to Tyra Banks. It really hits home. That means that the discussion is happening on the grounds in real time.
Jeanette Davis is a well-established author with 6 published books. Black Survival in White America from Past History to the Next Century was published in 1995, and it delves into the history of African Americans before slavery up to contemporary times. The Great Divide Between Blacks and Whites was released in 2008, and her autobiography, Black Just Like My Mama, was published in 2010. Soulful Journey, The Business of Beings, was released in December 2021, and her two latest books, Echoes from the Heart, Love Throws Poetry, and Master Being Human, were both published in January of 2022. Jeanette Davis' writings delve deeply into the psyche of Black people from ancient to contemporary times. She cuts no corners and leaves no stones unturned in relating truth, letting the chips fall where they may on both African and European doorsteps. Order Jeanette Davis's books today at Amazon.com. Search for Jeanette Davis and get to know her work today. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on the TheAHNShow, the Superstation, the Future Radio. Okay. This article right here, this came out September 28th, 2021. TheHill.com, police organizations say failed reform proposal would have strengthened departments, not defunded them. This came out after the talks between Republicans and Democrats broke down in the Senate regarding the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Those talks basically broke down September 25th, 2021. This article came out September 28th, 2021. So there was a joint statement from the International Chiefs of Police and the Fraternal Order Police. And they said that they are disappointed that Senate negotiators could not reach an agreement on police reform legislation. And we thank all those members of Congress who partnered with us in the effort, the joint statement said. The joint statement went on to say, despite some media reports, at no point did any legislative draft propose defunding the police. Okay? Despite some media reports, at no point did any legislative draft propose defunding the police. It is our joint belief that the provisions under discussion would have, it is our joint belief that the provisions under discussion would have strengthened the law enforcement profession and helped improve the state of community police engagement without compromising management and officers' rights. Without compromising management and officers' rights, authorities, and legal protections. Okay, so read the rest of this here. Senator Tim Scott lied. That's what happened. The black senator, Republican senator from South Carolina, he lied. All right, and he wants to run for president as well. He's up for re-election in 2022. We need to vote him out of office and make sure he does not become president. Okay, but he lied. That's what happened. All right, so let's go back to, I want to go to this next topic here quickly. So read that article from TheHill.com. So I saw this story for some different news outlets, and I posted it on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network also. And this deals with Juneteenth. There was a Walmart had a ice cream, a Juneteenth ice cream. TheGrill.com has an article on this. Walmart has a Juneteenth ice cream, and it got so much backlash on social media that they canceled. They pulled the ice cream off the shelves. They're not going to sell it. Rightfully so. We can't allow these white corporations to pimp Juneteenth. Okay, we cannot allow that. If you look at this article here, we're going to clip 4 I just sent you just a second, Shakita. Look at this article here from TheGrill.com. Walmart apologizes for selling Juneteenth ice cream at its stores. Okay, Walmart apologizes for selling Juneteenth ice cream at its stores. The ice cream is a swirled red velvet and cheesecake flavor sold on the Walmart's Great Value brand. All right. As reported by the International Business Times, the ice cream The ice cream is swirled red velvet and cheesecake flavors sold under Walmart's Great Value brand. The packaging boasts an image of two black hands with the Pan-African colors, yellow, green, red, and black. Pan-African flag is really red, black, and green. They threw yellow in there, but some of them like that. But really, the Pan-African flag, which was created by the Universal Negro Improvement Association, adopted August 13th, 1920 at their International Convention, is red, black, and green. Now, the pints include the message, share and celebrate African-American culture, emancipation, and enduring hope. However, following backlash over the Juneteenth-themed ice cream, Walmart announced that it was removing the items from its shelves. Juneteenth holiday marks a celebration of freedom and independence, Walmart said in a statement to Fox Television. Okay, that African Americans, they weren't independent because most of them didn't get land. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is the BS I'm talking about. However, we received feedback that a few items caused concern for some of our customers, and we sincerely apologize. We are reviewing our assortment and will remove items as appropriate. Okay, so read the rest of this here. We'll talk about this a little bit more on tomorrow's show. Those we're out of time here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. Those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching for a few more minutes because I'm going to play the interview that I did on Juneteenth 2021 on DET IPTV, dealing with some of the history of Juneteenth. Okay, be sure to visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. I'm still dealing with my allergies, so just bear with me. The pollen in the air is better today than 2 weeks ago, but I'm still dealing with my allergies. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Register for the online classes that I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. Also, we have my Juneteenth presentation. My Juneteenth lecture is right here. It's 2 hours. Deals with the real history of Juneteenth, the Emancipation Proclamation, why did not free the enslaved Africans, Special Field Order number 15, 40 Acres and a Mule, Dr. King's Poor People's Campaign, and a lot more. So this is a 2-hour presentation. We have it on DVD and digital download at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, we got to get out of here. And you know, my show will continue to be on Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This coming Thursday, which is the 26th? 26th. That's gonna be my last day doing Monday through Thursday. We're gonna go back just to doing Sunday. So I'll still be on Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. I have other responsibilities that I have to take care of, things like this. So even though I enjoy doing this show late at night, I have a lot of other responsibilities I have to do. Okay, so we'll be back here tomorrow. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Talk to you tomorrow. Peace. All right, stand by. I'm going to show you this quickly here. Also, if you like this type of information, you can get African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. PayPal.me/the AHN Show. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, pay some of the bills. Also, you can register for the online classes that I teach on Saturdays and Sundays as well. Okay, so back June 19th, 2021, I was on DET IPTV with Angela, what was her name? Angela Matthews. Angela Matthews interviewed me. We talked about the history of Juneteenth, and it was right after Juneteenth became a federal holiday. Okay, the executive order, I'm sorry. The bill passed the Congress. It was signed into law by President Joe Biden. Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday. I deal with all that, and I talk about fighting, making sure that Juneteenth is not commercialized also by white corporations. Let's go to this clip.
All right, everyone, you are back with Urban Interests. Listen, I'm so excited because there is something that's happening that we have been pushing for a long time. A federal holiday of Juneteenth. We've been celebrating and everyone is up in arms, and so are we. So we have a special guest with us, Mr. Michael Imhotep. He is the founder of the African History Network, and he is also a talk show host, a researcher, a lecturer, and a writer. He has hosted national radio shows such as the Warren Ballantine Show, and yes, come on now, the Roland Martin Show, talking about big time. He is an avid writer, and his articles can be read at the AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and his articles can be published by, YourBlackWorld.net, CultureCritic.com, FinancialJuneteenth.com, and BlackThen.com. So come on here, Mr. Michael, because I'm excited about this. Let's talk.
All right, how you doing today, Angela?
I am doing absolutely wonderful. You know, President Biden signed that legislation making a holiday, and so House Majority Whip Jim Claiborne says that was important. So explain to us the Juneteenth flag.
You said the Juneteenth flag?
Yes, there's a flag, isn't there?
Right. Well, the Juneteenth flag is a variation of the U.S. flag. So it's to recognize that, in 1776, 4th of July 4th, 1776, when the Declaration of Independence was signed by the first 4 of 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence, the majority of African Americans were still enslaved. So this is designed for us to have something of our own. And it's red, black, and green as well, which are the colors of the Pan-African flag, which was created by Marcus Garvey and the Universal Negro Improvement Association. It was adopted in August of 1920 at their international convention. More importantly than the flag is to understand Juneteenth and the history behind Juneteenth. And we have to correct the history, but also protect the history of Juneteenth, because it's going to be commodified, and we have to get out in front of that and shut this down. Walmart and these other stores should not be selling Juneteenth merchandise, because African Americans have been celebrating Juneteenth since 1866 in various ways, and African Americans have been selling that merchandise. Okay, so June 19th, 1865 commemorates when Major General Gordon Granger delivers what's known as General Order Number 3 to enslaved Africans in Galveston, Texas. All right. He arrived the day before. He arrives with about 2,000 troops. Majority of them are African-American troops. And they are enforcing the Emancipation Proclamation from January 1st, 1863. The war is, for all practical purposes, over now. It ends basically April 1865, when General Robert E. Lee surrenders to General Ulysses S. Grant. But Texas is more removed from the war. Major battles don't take place in Texas. You have slave owners who flee other Confederate states and go into Texas and take their slaves with them. So Texas is more removed, and they had not gotten the news that the war was over and the slaves were free. Now, the Emancipation Proclamation did not free the enslaved Africans, January 1st, 1863. This is why we have to correct the history, because there's a lot of misinformation floating around in media, especially white-owned media, dealing with this. If you go to LOC.gov, which is the Library of Congress website, or archives.gov, which is the National Archives, and you actually read the Emancipation Proclamation. It was a military strategy from Lincoln, President Lincoln, and it states that the slaves in territories or states in rebellion are free as of January 1st, 1863. But slaves that are still in the border states, Maryland, Kentucky, Missouri, Delaware, they're still slaves. Slaves who were in territories that had succeeded from the Union but came back under Union control, they're still slaves. The Emancipation Proclamation did not free the enslaved Africans. Okay, it's going to be the 13th Amendment, ratified December 6, 1865, with Georgia ratifying it. That's what's going to legally free the slaves. All right, so we can commemorate June 19th, when the majority of those Africans in Galveston got the message, and they're going through different parts of Texas delivering this message, okay? There's 250,000 enslaved Africans in Texas at the time. They're going through different parts of Texas. They're going to continue to deliver the message the next day to different parts of Texas. So June 19th was a date that was settled on to commemorate this, okay? But we have to get the history straight with this.
All right. Now, I'm glad that you are a historian, because I've heard some different variations of it as well. And so,
what were the different variations that you heard?
Well, that basically not that there were slaves who were still enslaved, that everyone became free. And so when
everyone became free when?
In 1865. So
when as the Union troops are going through different areas of the Confederacy, taking back control of those lands, they're enforcing the Emancipation Proclamation. But this is a proclamation. They have to change the 13th. They have to change the Constitution. They have to amend the Constitution for slaves to legally be freed, because the Constitution sanctions slavery. Article 4, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution laid the foundation for the Fugitive Slave Acts of 1793 and 1850. Okay, so they have to amend the Constitution with the 13th Amendment, and then the 14th Amendment gives citizenship rights to African Americans. Then the 15th Amendment of 1870 guarantees the right to vote to African American men. Doesn't apply to women at this time, but African American men. So you're going through a process. You're going through a process of these territories being brought back into the Union, brought back under Union control. And these various states have to then vote, or their state legislatures have to then vote to ratify the 13th Amendment as well. That's part of the ratification process, or the process to amend the U.S. Constitution. Okay, to amend the U.S. Constitution, a bill has to pass both the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate by a 2/3 majority vote. Then it has to be ratified by 3/4 of the state legislatures by a 2/3 majority vote. All right, so this part is part of that ratification process as well for the 13th Amendment. So we can commemorate June 19th, 1865, but we have to understand the real history. And then Juneteenth connects us to voting rights. It connects us to the voter suppression tactics that take place after the 15th Amendment is ratified. It connects us to, in Texas, the Texas State Constitution of 1866, which has a purity of the ballot box clause in it, which leads to what are known as all-white primaries, like the all-white primaries of 1918. It connects us to the Mississippi State Constitution of 1890, where they voted to institute poll taxes and literacy tests. So it connects us to voting rights. It connects us to reparations, repairing the damage of slavery and the legacy of slavery, because when the emancipation takes place, when Africans are free, we're free largely without reparations, without giving land, giving tools, giving money, anything like that. And 40 acres and a mule, Special Field Order number 15, that land is largely going to be taken back by President Andrew Johnson, who succeeds Lincoln after Lincoln's assassinated in April of 1865, and he's going to give all that land back to the Confederacy for the most part. Okay, so all of this is, so people want to talk about reparations. Juneteenth is directly related to reparations. You're talking about the legacy of slavery. You're talking about what happened during Reconstruction, 1865 to 1877. So these two are they interconnect.
So, Mr. Michael, you have given us a thorough history lesson about, I don't know, maybe 5 to 7 minutes, maybe 10, but it's information that we definitely should know.
Absolutely.
About the bill that passed unanimously in the Senate, however, there were 14 Republican lawmakers.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me. You're dealing with the white nationalist party. You're dealing with the party that many of them support the insurrectionists. You had 147 Republican traitors who voted not to certify the 2020 presidential election, okay, on January 6th. You had 147 who voted. Now, it's important for people to watch what's taking place. Go to govtrack.us, govtrack.us. You can track these bills in Congress and you can see who supports them. Go to congress.gov and read these bills, okay? Congress.gov and read the bills. The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed the House of Representatives March 3rd, 2021 by a vote of 220 to 212. 212 Republicans voted no on the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act after they sat there and cried and talked about how wrong it was what happened to George Floyd. No Republicans voted for the bill. The $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. No Republicans in the House of Representatives or the U.S. Senate voted for the bill. H.R. 40 is in the House of Representatives right now. It passed out of the House Judiciary Committee 2 or 3 months ago for the first time in 32 years, originally introduced by the Honorable John Conyers from the 13th Congressional District. Now is sponsored by Representative Sheila Jackson-Lee of Texas, who also is the one who sponsored the Juneteenth bill from Texas, because this deals with Texas. Reparations and Juneteenth are interconnected. Anybody that lies to you and tells you they're not, they don't know what they're talking about. There's about 188 members of the House of Representatives that have signed on to support H.R. 40. None of them are Republicans. None of them are Republicans. So we can see the ideology of the party. So the Republican Party, the GOP. So I'm neither Democrat nor Republican, but I sure as hell ain't stupid. I can see who consistently supports bills that benefit African Americans, and I can see who consistently vote against those bills and are obstructionists to those bills. So yeah, I'm not surprised it was 14. I'm surprised it wasn't more than 14, to tell you the truth.
So Michael, what you have said is definitely true with regard. I say we need to stay woke. I think we're sleeping a little bit. I think we've gotten a little bit comfortable with what's happening and what's going on, because we know that there's over 90 voter suppression bills and or has been passed that's trying to make it harder for us to vote in the upcoming election.
Close to 400. It's close to 448 state legislatures that are being pushed by Republicans. It's close to 400 bills. It's about last count was about 381 bills in 48 state legislatures. See, we don't understand the white backlash that always comes after periods of perceived gains by African Americans. The end of Reconstruction, 1877, with Rutherford B. Hayes becoming the Republican candidate for president, becoming president, and the Republicans agreed with they agreed to compromise with the Democrats and remove the Union troops out of the South that were largely enforcing the rights of African Americans. And this is what ends Reconstruction. You see a backlash to the civil rights movement with the election of Richard Nixon, okay, and who ran on the platform of law and order. You see a backlash to 2 terms of President Barack Obama with the election of Donald Trump, who ran on the platform of law and order. You see a backlash with the attack on critical race theory and the attack on the 1619 Project, which was a backlash to the summer of 2020 and the Black Lives Matter protests and the protests over George Floyd. All this is always a backlash, okay? And we see this, and then they attack you, usually not in the streets. They attack you in the courts and they attack you in the legislatures because they're dealing with law. Many of us don't understand law. We don't understand how to perceive these attacks coming, because I knew it was coming, and we don't understand how to defend against these attacks. We have to understand political self-defense.
All right, I will agree with you on that. We can go into this a little bit further. However, we're kind of wrapping up with you, so I want to bring it back to the celebration of this particular moment. So yes. How should we celebrate, African-American families celebrate this monumental time? And are there any events in the area that you can share with our audience?
Well, there are events taking place all over Detroit. I'm actually in Atlanta right now because I'm here for the 3-day Juneteenth Festival in Atlanta, and I'll be speaking there Saturday and Sunday at the Centennial Olympic Park. But you can probably Google Juneteenth Detroit. There are celebrations taking place. This is a time for us to study the history, not just commemorate those enslaved Africans getting the message. And it's also very important to understand some slave owners in Texas kept the message away from slaves and kept them enslaved for an additional year. One of them was a white woman named Martha Gibbs, because the involvement of white women in slavery is much greater than we thought. Professor Stephanie E. Jones-Rogers, in her book in 2019, I think it was, or 2018, called They Were Her Property, details this, how from 1850 and 1860, about 40% of slave owners were white women, okay? So we need to come together as family, commemorate what happened in 1865, study the history, correct the history, use that as a foundation to give us our values, our interests, and our principles. Use that to empower ourselves economically and politically. So this is a very, very important time, and continue to push for reparations. We have to leverage this to push to repair the damage, to push to get these other bills passed through Congress as well.
All right. We're going to drop the mic right there because I think.
All right. And visit my website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com also.
Okay. Say it again because I don't want to overtalk you.
Oh, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com.
All right. Thank you so much for being
Thanks,
here.
Angela.
Appreciate you. And hey, success on that speech on tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that was from June 2021. That was we did that with June 19th, I think it was 2021. I was in the June 18th, 2021. We did that interview. I was in Atlanta. That's on my YouTube channel also. Michael Imhotep. Here's the actual link to it. Yeah, it's on my YouTube channel. Michael Imhotep, Juneteenth, federal holiday, forces a conversation about history Republicans pass laws to suppress. So every June 19th, they have to deal with this federal holiday. Republicans have to deal with this federal holiday. All right. The Juneteenth flag is a symbol, is full of symbols. Here's what they mean. So here is the official June. This is an article from CNN.com. Here's the official Juneteenth flag, red, white, and blue. There's another one I've seen that is red, black, and green, and it's similar to the U.S. flag with the stars and stripes. And this one here has June 19th, 1865 vertically at the end of it. Okay, so you can read this article here. All right. If you'd like this type of information, register for the online classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. And on Sundays, I teach from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. And we deal with a lot of the history that I just talked about there. We do it that period of time. We start in 1803 with the Louisiana Purchase and the Haitian Revolution. We go through history to 1968. Next class is Sunday, May 29th, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As soon as you register, you can start watching the content. You watch the class we did last weekend. All right. We have a bundle pack. You can register for both classes for $120. We'll post that information here as well. And the class I teach on Saturdays is Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. All right, look, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.
IDO Network International, in collaboration with STL Black Woman, DACA, and ACTA, present the Royal Pilgrimage to the Americas, August 24th through the 28th. The African kings and queens are coming to you for business, networking, and sharing of Pan-African ideals. The venue will be the illustrious En Garde Arts Hotel in St. Louis, Missouri. A royal cultural experience and exhibitions, trade and investment opportunities in Africa, the Caribbean, and the Americas. A Royal Pan-African Summit hosting keynote speakers and a red carpet banquet. Come and witness an African royal coronation ceremony. Register at www.idonetwork.org to book your ticket to wine and dine with African royalty. Vendor opportunities available. Get face-to-face with the royals who own the land and resources for business. Contact DACA for deal room information at 602-730-4572.
STEM Forward, helping our community find their place in the emerging fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Join us for our monthly live stream on our website, stemforwardedu.org. Watch, subscribe, share. Also join our mailing list to stay up to date with STEM resources and opportunities. STEM Forward, the future is now. Watch, subscribe, share.
iRedify is a Black-owned digital platform that showcases Black and Brown cultures and people. The books on the platform are written by African-American authors, Afro-Caribbean authors, African authors, and so much more. kids 14 and under can read ebooks, listen to audiobooks, and complete learning activities. Kids can even write in the books digitally. Get unlimited access to everything on the platform for only $8.99 a month at iRedify.com. Sign up for your membership today.
The work that I do is larger than the fashion industry. It's larger than the art world. And I believe that I was born to bring newness into this world. I'm Kaima McIntyre. I'm 24 years old and I'm an artist. I create everything from paintings to jewelry design, metaphysical jewelry to be specific, and fashion design. The only reason why my prom dress went viral is because people needed it. Within a few days of going viral, Notori Naughton reached out to me and she's like, I saw your dress, can you make me a dress? I was equally as shocked to be asked by a celebrity to design their dress at the age of 17. That's just one person, and the list just continues to go on to Janet Jackson, to Tyra Banks. It really hits home. That means that the discussion is happening on the grounds.